Get your cocktails about the game script. A huge victory. We get on these streams and we put our heads together. Get your balls, put them on the table. We are live. We are live. It's Friday. Happy Friday. TGIFF. We'll get into that after we get past the 8-minute mark and what that extra F stands for. You probably already know it's time to get into last call. You guys have made it through the week, and I appreciate you guys dropping in here 6 p.m. Eastern to spend your time with me as we get this card tight and right and ready to kick the bookies right in the face. I'm excited here. We're coming off another big day. We'll get into that in just a minute here. You know the deal. I want to let everybody get an opportunity to drop in. Ton of you guys are early and on time. I see right off the hop, my guy, razor sharp picks. I owe this man an IOU. Some things came up today that were unforeseeable and had to deal with some stuff, but that's the way life goes. Andrew K is out here. This place where all the junkies go. Yeah, baby, let's eat that spoon. It's go time here. Lexicon, let's turn a new leaf today. You got it here, and a new leaf we will. Dana Delp, appreciate you dropping in. Sharing your looks already. You guys know the deal. Love to see the looks in the chat. Love to give you guys the recognition with those plays as well. Dana Delp's on the Duke -5 spot, the Pelicans money line. There's our guy, Jay Smoot 16. Let's go, money bags, Mike. Let's get paid. We're trying, baby. We're trying. We got a big card tonight. I'm excited to break it down for you guys. Lots of angles, I think, will help us get there. Ron Lofton, appreciate you dropping in. Fletcher Barry says, let's get it. Mike, RVD 420, baby. Let's go, Swizz. One Time Sports, there's our guy. Appreciate him dropping in last night, giving them looks. We had a great live stream for you guys that missed out. You certainly did miss out. We cashed a whole bunch of extra prop spots, live bets along the way. Of course, primetime unders continue to be a thing. You won't see a lot of those, though, on the card for me. You know, I like to try to give you guys something that's a little bit of a different look and feel. Coin says, what up, Mike and chat? Let's have a Friday. Let's have a Friday indeed, Coin. There's Trisha M. My bro, Mike Money. Let's go, Trisha M. It's that time. It's Friday. You guys have found the right spot. Get those cocktails freshened up. Make sure you get that pen and paper out. We're going to go through a rapid pace, lots of games. Want to get it done for you guys before 7 o'clock so that you can make those final decisions and get to the window. And again, I think we have a bunch of great angles and looks tonight. You know, but what am I going to say here? I love every card, and it's hard for me to find a card I don't like. So that being said, though, we got to dissect it. We have to do the due diligence. Look at this card 2, 3, 4 times over to get you guys these spots I think are going to get us to the window. Ron Lofton says he's got the Suns first quarter -0.5. Lakers first half -1.5 at +105. Suns first half, he says. My bad. Okay, no worries, Ron Lofton. We give you the pass on that when it happens. Fast fingers on that keyboard. And there's Director 97. You know when Director 97's in the house, it's time to get rolling. Alex Salazar says, LFG Pimp, can we close with a good hockey slate today? Missed by 2 last night. I'm not sure whose hockey card you followed, Alex, but we'll talk about it. We'll get into it here. You guys know the situation. We got 60 plus. Guys, I need you to hit this thumbs up and like button here. I'm going to pass some judgment here. You guys are slacking out there on this YouTube stuff. We're not getting to that triple-digit mark, and maybe it's too many plays. Maybe we got to back down some of the plays to make sure that you guys have time to hit that like button and thumbs up, because that's important. That's probably the most important metric and measurement that we have to see we're doing the right job out here. So if you guys like what you're hearing, if you're making that cash, I just ask you to take a second, give that thumbs up a click on YouTube. As far as Pub Sports, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification button, because every time we go live, you will be notified. Follow me on Twitter or X as well at PimpSlapPOD. You guys know when I go live, I get it out there. I post that thing out and let you guys know what's happening here. We make a ton of cash in the live spots, but certainly want to give you guys these opportunities up front. Jesse Gomez says, Mikey, you smashed yesterday. We did. It's a new day, but we're going to start off with a recap. Let everybody kind of filter in here, get their things ready, coming home from work, making that ride home. Certainly don't advocate you start writing things down on the ride home, but when you get there, you can certainly rewind and replay and make sure that you cash and catch all these spots. So let's get into it here. You know, we started off the day. We had a 4-0 sweep in college basketball. You know, I went rapid fire yesterday because we had already given out those plays earlier on in the day, but they held true. Tulane -15.5 cash for us. William and Mary cash for us. Portland +8 that ballooned all the way up to 10. So if you waited till the late spot, you got an even better number, but you didn't need it. And we sprinkled the money line. I talked about that in the lean side of things at like a plus 350, I want to say was that money line spot. St. Mary's got through there at minus 6.5 for us. That line went up to 7. I even saw 7.5 right before the tip, but once again, it didn't matter. As far as hockey, it was a great night in hockey. Again, hockey continues to be a money maker right now. We are just firing bullets right now. We got the New York Rangers came through with a victory for us. The Vancouver Canucks victory for us. An angle that we played on Vancouver is alive again tonight. So we're going to talk about that and get to the window with that spot as well. The Boston Bruins made light work of those New York Islanders. The St. Louis Blues cashed for us. The LA Kings number, it was over 6.5. It sure got over. They didn't get there for us on the lean side of things, but we did have the official play on the Kings themselves. We got the teaser, Carolina plus 9 and the under 44.5. Even on that live stream, I talked about the 3.5 spot and a couple of player props. Those got there as well. College football, we had a nice 8-1 run going in college football, and we dropped both the spots yesterday. Louisville minus 20. I'm mad at myself. I talked about that first half spot. That got there, but Louisville kind of, the wind got out of the sail, so to speak, and they ended up with an L for us. And then Southern Miss, team total under 21.5. Probably got too cute and threading the needle there. As far as the Mexico City game, Mexico City, Orlando Magic plus 3.5. That cashed for us as well. That was a tight game right to the end. Those young legs held on, though. They got it done. They lost by a point, but they covered for us on the 3.5. 11-2 day. It gets me so excited to say that. We had a 12-1 Tuesday, a 6-6 Wednesday, and then an 11-2 Thursday. So, standard disclaimer here, guys. Let's make sure we don't give it all back today. So a lot of plays, a lot of spots, really scrub through this card to try to get it right. But it's important that we, measure the bankrolls appropriately. Don't drop the cannon on any one particular spot tonight. We want to go into this weekend healthy and in the black. And right now we are healthy and in the black. We're up 20.99 units through the first 3 weeks of the show. This will be the official end of the first week of the show here for Friday. And again, we've got another dozen plus spots here that we're going to take a look at tonight. So get a few more people in here. We're up to 80 plus and continuing to grow. K Graham says Wyoming UNLV under 50.5. DC Capper need 2 strong plays for today, my friend. I'll give you 2. I'll give you 12. I'll give you 20. But we're going to have some official spots in there as well, and hopefully we can sift through them and come up with what we think are those best spots. So Real Deal Prime says shout out to you, Real Deal Prime. Going to be happy when you see what we're doing in hockey tonight. I know you will. Sporting that 716. Fat Cat Ninja, is this the bookie smacking room? Let's get him, Fat Cat Ninja. Let him know, baby. We're here to take names and kick ass. Swiss has smashed the like button. Please, you guys. That's the only thing I ask you to do. Help me, help us, help this thing grow, help Pub Sports Radio get this place on the map. We're tapping into the 6 o'clock market. And you know what? They say imitation is the highest form of flattery. We're starting to see some folks kind of doing what we're doing here, but they're not going to do it the same way, specifically because we're going to look at not just the cash flow and public spots. We're going to look at some of these unique trends that help to kind of correlate and connect those dots. And nobody better than this chat and yours truly here to get that done. So we are connecting those dots. We're going to launch this puppy here in just a second. Fletcher Berry, again, hit that like button. Coin says hit the thumbs up. Yeah, appreciate you guys, man. Spread the word. Get that like button. It really, truly is the only thing that helps us grow in this YouTube space. And again, it takes just a second. I don't want to keep harping on it, but it's important, and it only takes a second. So you get to that window with me, the least you can do is hit that thumbs up. Control Your Vessel's got a little package of plays out here for us. Pitt minus 14, UCLA minus 24, and San Diego State plus 2.5. USMC Devil Dog, appreciate you dropping in here. Appreciate the kind words, my guy. Neil Coleman, North Texas over in college football and Iowa over in college basketball. There's a couple of looks from our guy, Neil Coleman. And Ron Lofton says the Leafs money line and minus 1.5. The only NHL bets so far tonight. Let's see if we can't fat that card up for our guy and fat that bankroll up along the way as well. We're going to kick this thing off. We got a 4-pack of sports tonight. We've got college football. We've got NBA, of course, the association's hitting the hardwood with a big card for us tonight. We've got, I think it's 5 games in the NHL. And, then, of course, we got a couple college basketball looks, too. Lots of college basketball games out there. So we're trying to measure ourselves and slowly get into this thing. Yeah, we had a great day last night, but it's important that we continue to move that needle And, as far as moving needles, we need to move that needle in the right direction for the NBA. So I think we've got the spots tonight to get it done. Let's keep it rolling. Let's jump right in this thing. Shout out to my guy T back there on the ones and twos. He tightens it up for us, makes it look nice, makes it look good. Let's get out there. Let's get this card rolling and start this thing right off here. We're going to start in college football tonight. 2 games on the card. We got looks on both of these games, and I'm excited to talk about this first one because it's North Texas, and it's smooth, the Southern Methodist Mustangs. They opened up at plus 17. They're up to plus 19.5 and plus 20s. This number's dancing around, so get to 20 if you can. I'm okay with the 19.5. That doesn't bother me. 48% of the cash. 48% of the bets and 51% of the cash. Basically, it's a split spot here. So they're saying, hey, we like the money. We like the books are saying they like where the numbers are at. It's the total that's taken a little bit of a hit. So they opened at 68. And it's down to, there are 64.5s out there. I see 66 is kind of the predominant number across the board. 65% of the bets and 64% of the cash on that over, and they dropped it a couple of points. If that's not a red flag, then I don't know what is. But I do feel really excited about this spot because what we have here is an opportunity for some intersection, not quite intersecting zeros, but some intersection opportunity out there for us. And we'll talk a little bit about that. So, for me, you can see on the screen here, the big play for me is North Texas plus 20. I like all those points. It was a couple of weeks ago on a live stream that I was on there with some of our guys from Pub Sports, CMAC and Dabby Cab and the fellas. And what we were talking about was North Texas is one of those teams that, you watch them early and it's ugly, but they claw around. They hang in these games. They find a way to fight. And at the end of the game, they're going out there and they're covering the spread. So I see a lot of similarity in this opportunity tonight. It's going to be a big play situation for North Texas. They put up the points, they hang around, but that total and that number dipping scares me because I always tend to see that correlation. And we'll talk about this through a couple of spots tonight. When the numbers are dropping, typically the dog isn't covering in those spots. So certainly a caution area for me when I see that the total is falling, that they're expecting either a lower scoring game or they're expecting that dog not to be able to produce. But North Texas, as a double-digit underdog, this is what I mean by hanging in these games. They're 6-0 over the last year and a half, almost 2 years now, 6-0 against the spread when their line is a double-digit dog. So that's one of those spots where the books just don't know what number to put on North Texas, and they're giving us 20 tonight, so you got to take a shot at that. They've covered in those games, too, by 13.3 points. So, would I adjust the spread in this North Texas game? No. I want every point I can get. If you watch North Texas and you watch the way the Mean Green play, those are spots that you want to make sure that you have every point in your back pocket. When I talked about the intersection thing here, the spot that's not quite the intersecting zeros, but worth noting is when you have a higher total, a total that's over 63 in the AAC, the conference home favorite, they're 37-2 straight up. So when they're lined as a favorite, they win these games, right? And Smooth is certainly capable and should be able to get this win. But they're 12-25 against the spread in this situation. So that conference home favorite with a large total, 12-25 against the spread. They're losing against the spread by about 4 points out there. So tight game with the number moving up from that 17 to 20. We're getting an extra 3 points in that spot. So I like that opportunity. That's where it intersects to me because we've got that conference home favorite specifically in the AAC against the spot where North Texas is 6-0. We're intersecting. We're putting it down. As far as big plays are concerned, Smooth does have that 71st ranked explosiveness in terms of points allowed out there, meaning drives that are bigger than 10 yards plus. And, that kind of ranks in middle of the pack when it comes to college football with 140 plus teams out there. 71st puts you dead smack in the middle. But I like those points. I think they can hang in there on this North Texas side. And I'm jumping into it. That's the first play of the day for us. North Texas college football plus 20 points onward and upward. We're going to roll into this next game, this Wyoming UNLV spot tonight. So again, you guys will see going across the bottom, some of these splits and some of these numbers that are going on. They might be a little different from the numbers I read. The numbers I'm reading to you now are the latest numbers that are out there. With this Wyoming spot here, the line opened at 5.5. It's dropped to 3. So we're now seeing 3s out there. And in fact, it looks like it's juiced to the 3 now. It's starting to become juiced to the 3 on the Wyoming side. 29% of the bets, 30% of the cash are on Wyoming. And that number has dropped. So even though the bigger bets are coming in, 71% of the bets and 70% of the cash on UNLV, they're not concerned. They're saying, hey, we see those points. We don't know what UNLV is going to do, but UNLV is one of the best cover teams in the country. They're 8-1 against the spread. We cashed last week with the Wyoming Cowboys. That was a home situation with what we thought was the coaching advantage to get us there. And ultimately they did. In this spot here, though, with UNLV, now that this number is down to 3, it does give me pause for concern. The total's where I'm looking for in this game. The total opened at 51. It's down to 50 and even starting to fall to 49s in some places. We've got 43% of the bets, but 78% of the cash on the under for UNLV. And that tells me everything I need to know. The bigger bets are coming in on that under. The sharper dollars, the bigger dollars are coming in on that under. And the books have moved at 1, even 2 points in some places out there. A couple of numbers for you guys by the trends here for this college football spot. When you've got a conference away dog that came off a win, they're 10-3 against the spread. That kind of correlates with that number dropping that we're seeing in Wyoming here, where the Cowboys have dropped that 2.5 points from the open. But the number that jumped out to me is 2-10 to the under. A conference away dog coming into a game off a win are 2-10 to the under, and they're going under by almost a touchdown. So that was kind of point checkbox number 1 for me. Also specific to the Mountain West, now that we're getting into this conference play and we're starting to get some data behind it, we're starting to see some conference-specific trends. In the Mountain West, if it's a weekday game, not the weekend, but isolated specifically to a weekday game like this here on Friday, even though I consider Friday to be a weekend for data and stats purposes, it is not a weekend spot. This is a weekday game. When you get a conference home favorite and the line's less than 10, that conference home favorite is 10-1. So it kind of was that flag for me going, I've got a 10-3 spot for Wyoming. I've got a 10-1 spot for UNLV, but here's another spot where the under shines through. 2-9 to the under. The Mountain West during the week, when you have a conference home favorite with a line that's less than 10-point favorite, 2-9 to the under. And the margin's the spot that jumps off the page at me. The margin's 9.5 points. So they're going under. They're comfortably going under. Just because we lost a point from the original opening line to me doesn't give me the concern. I see the sharper bets, the bigger bets coming in on that under. I've got 2, I think, salient points as to why that under makes a lot of sense. And, at the end of the day, Wyoming's not a team that's going to go out there and put up a ton of points. They can when they're at home and they have the advantage. Yeah, that can make the sense and everything else. But their rush success rate is super low in college football, 94th. And then when you look at the defensive side of things, they're 118th on defensive line yards. UNLV is a run-heavy program. So as much as I think that Wyoming defense can be suspect on the road, we've seen that time and time out this season. The UNLV run-heavy program is they're tops in college football in terms of how they run this ball. Love that spot because it moves the chains, it keeps the clock moving for us, and it gives us that opportunity to smash and cash that under. So under 50.5 was the number that I had locked in earlier today. Again, we're seeing that move. Let me just do a quick browse around here from a line shopping perspective. Let's make sure we got the best number. There is still a 50.5 out there. So we're going to lock that down. That's going to be our official play number 2 through college football. We've got North Texas plus 20. We've got this Wyoming game under 50.5. And we're looking for that bounce back, right? We were 8-1 in college football. We lost those 2 games yesterday. We're trying to get that back for us here. Don Play says he's got UNLV -3. I wonder if that number's dropped enough now that that's the right spot. Are we going to see like a 4-point game out of this thing? Thomas Maggio says Flyers and OKC best bets. We'll talk about both those games as well. Bill McDonald, do you like North Texas at +18? Yeah, I like North Texas at +18. If you can't get to 20, I would go down to 17 in that spot. I think there's enough reason for that game to go down to 17 and still have an ability to cash. So Nani says exactly. Ron Lofton says, I'll tail that under with you, Mike. I love it. When we've got 2 spots on opposite sides of the teams that intersect and show those numbers, I feel like that's the best spot for us. Ron Lofton says, yep, on Wyoming last week and fading them tonight. That's the way it goes, man. We see that all the time, right? We can make money with them last week. We can fade them this week and still try to get to the bank. Coin says, sign me up on this UNLV under 50 -110. That's a good number right there. And there's our girl, Kelly V, dropping in the chat. Appreciate you dropping by, Kelly. She says, New Jersey in regulation, under in the Florida game, Virginia over 1 in the first period. So is that I'm a little lost on that one, but that's okay. Minnesota, Buffalo, 6:30, Villanova. I'm not sure. That's hard for me to read that one, Kelly, but appreciate you dropping the action out there. And let's keep it rolling here. We're going to jump into the next slot on the window here is college basketball. A couple of looks for you guys here. So, with this Michigan game, I wanted to drop off here. A lot of times I'll look for some of these lower market games, but when it comes to college basketball, I think there's a lot of value on some of these bigger spots here when they're non-conference games. So, when they get into that conference play, gets tight. The numbers kind of get a little tighter and sharper to cap. But, when we're in these non-conference matchups, I think there's opportunity for us to cash. So this Michigan number opened up at 18.5, and it's down to 16.5 out there. 61% of the bets and 75% of the cash are saying Youngstown State covers this bigger number at 16.5. The total opened at 151.5. It's now moved to 152.5 or even 153.5. We've got 42% of the bets and 78% of the cash on the over, and the number's kind of moving in kind. So does that movement support Youngstown State getting the job done? It could quite possibly lead to that Youngstown State with a backdoor cover. I lean to the first half in the spot. And, I think Michigan comes out here. They've got a lot of returning players. Yeah, they got that mess. We cashed on Michigan the other day, but Michigan showed that even though there's a lot of turmoil and storm and adversity going on in the program with the coach off the heart surgery, the other factors with some of the players and this thing going on over the whole University of Michigan with the black cloud and sign stealing, they're still doing what they do when they come out there and get the job done. I like this first half minus 9.5. And what kept me off the game as a whole, not just seeing the line movement out there, but I think a correlated number for this line movement, Michigan 0-9 against the spread when they're a favorite that's larger than 5 points after they've won a game by more than 15 points. This is like that perfect fit here. This is that sandwich spot for Michigan to be an 0-9 against the spread. And when they're covering, they're not covering by 17.5 points. Does that mean Youngstown State's live? It does. I mean, if you wanted to go for the big score, it's 17.5 points. If you're on a 16.5 point spread, that means that over that 9-game stretch, when they're a 5-point or larger favorite and they're off a win of 15 or more points, that could very well happen. But I like the fast start for Michigan. I just think Youngstown State has the ability to come through on that back door and kind of close it there. With the number kind of escalating up, we're kind of seeing that correlation out there. Buyer beware with this spot. I wanted to get to Michigan right off the hop, but ultimately, I just couldn't get it done. And there's our guy, Razor, says, wait, UNLV's only -3 at home. Yes, sir. That's kind of what I was thinking too, Razor. Darren Turner says, on Wyoming +5.5. And Nanya says, I think Big Blue -25. Can't get mad at that. I just thought that this was a spot where the numbers to me showed Michigan's in a sell spot right now. And the numbers dropping in kind. So, again, advance at your own risk here. Don places. Hopefully UNLV can be down and I can live bet them for plus money. I agree. And there's John Gilly. Hey, Johnny G. What's up, my guy? We're going to move along here. We're on to the next game, the third game. We're keeping a brisk pace. We got a lot to cover for you guys. Lots of spots out there. Want to make sure we get a recap in as well for everybody before the 7 o'clock window hits for us. And this is the big spot here. This is a 7 o'clock window right in itself here. Arizona, Duke, big battle royale right here. And I'm excited about this game here. The line opened at 5.5 and it sits at 5.5. 56% of the bets and 58% of the cash are sitting there on Arizona. The fact that it's a frozen line doesn't entirely concern me because they're getting even money on both sides of this thing. 56 to 58. You could argue there's a little bit of a higher tick there on the Arizona side of things, but it doesn't concern me. Then I look at this side here with the total itself, opened at 152.5, 154.5 to 156 are out there now. 71% of the bets and 65% of the cash on that over. Again, dog wins, over hits. Those are how I correlate these spots out there. And if you want to look for some further detail out here, we see that 81% of the action is on parlays and teasers with Duke at -230. That number's fallen down to 220. Some sharper bettors are taking this Arizona money line, thinking they are a live dog, and they very well could be a live dog to me. Here's a spot for you guys. When you got two top 25 teams facing each other head to head, home favorite with a total over 150 points have gone 62 and 69 against the spread. That's kind of a definite red flag for me out there saying, I'm not taking that Duke thing. I think the public comes in and sees Duke and they kind of remember who Duke was, but Duke's in a rebuilding situation right now. You look at what's happened with, Arizona. Arizona brought back a lot of their guys, and the guys they didn't bring back, they restocked the pond very well. You saw what happened in the game against Morgan State, that they whooped them. They put up 122 points. But what that tells me is, the way that they play, the style that they play is very difficult to match. And, they like to control pace. They like to control the glass. They like to be the ones that kind of go out there and dictate what's going to happen out here. And, I think in that case, that's what makes Arizona live, that they can go out there and get this job done up front and on top. And then it's going to put Duke in an awkward situation. We talked a little bit about that last night in some of the college basketball spots, where these teams that like to control and push the pace and control the glass are the teams that put these other guys in awkward positions. Now they're going to be playing a game plan that they weren't exactly hoping to go out there and get done. I know, from a field advantage or from a court advantage, you could say that it's going to go to the Duke side of things, but I just think Arizona in this case at that +5.5, seeing that home favorite total factor, not enough for me to say I want to lay 5.5. Could it be a 1-possession game and Duke gets the job done? It could. Could it go to overtime and still again be a 2-possession game? It could, but 5.5 still gets us there and gets that number where it should be. So lock me down. That's going to be my first official college basketball play. I've got that Arizona spot +5.5. And the third big game we're going to go to here, the third big game is going to be, this is a really exciting one in my opinion here. We got Tennessee at Wisconsin. And this is a game plan where a lot of these teams are going to be kind of carbon copies of who they were last year. A lot of returning starters, a lot of existing experience out there that we're seeing kind of correlate by some of the preseason numbers that they've thrown out there here. Tennessee in this spot, let me find this number. It's way down the card. I know it's a later game. I want to say it's a 9:00 Eastern start. Let me pull it up here. Let's go. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Man, there's a lot of games tonight. So the line opened at -1.5. It's now 2s, and there's even 2.5s out there. 41% of the bets and 67% of the cash on that Tennessee side. Again, bigger money coming in on Tennessee. We're now seeing that 2, and we're starting to see that 2 push up to 2.5s. I like this Tennessee spot quite a bit. I think that, again, they're bringing back most of their starters. The ones that they didn't bring back, they had a really strong transfer window session this offseason. And Tennessee's defense, they're super efficient. Their defensive efficiency ranks first in college basketball. Their offense ranks 64th in offense. What we have here is kind of two teams that play similar styles. We got a team, they both play slow-paced games. They like to control the block. They like to control the ball, and they want to go out there and dictate. And I think in this case here, what happens when you've got slow spots is your shots become that much more important. Now, you've got to make those buckets. You've got to get your rebounds. And with that Tennessee defense ranking tops in the nation in defensive efficiency, 64th on offense, it shows me that, their offense is going to be, and I'll break this the other side down in just a second, but their offense is a little bit more efficient and their defense goes out there and dictates pace. Wisconsin on the other side, if you just want to look at the numbers, Wisconsin's offensive efficiency ranks 140th. So you got a 64th in Tennessee, 140th in Wisconsin, and their defensive efficiency ranks 19th versus Tennessee's first. To me, it's a spot for Tennessee here. I'll lay the 2. I'll take the bucket, I'll say that they're going to win by more than a bucket. We got the cash in our favor. We got the money moving in our favor. We've got the more efficient team that is more success in going out there, dictating pace and controlling the game. I'm going to lock down that's going to be the second official spot on the college basketball card tonight. Give me that Tennessee, 9 p.m. Eastern, -2 spot out there for us. It's Friday. Got to rehydrate. It was a long, late stream last night. Ricky Bobby says, you like the under, Mike. I do like the under. Ultimately, I wanted to just take Tennessee to win this game. I think they win, based on that efficiency and control factor on offense. I think they win this game, not comfortably, but, I think they get up there. I think they got a 5-6 point win. And again, if the favorite's going to win, that's going to push that under, or should push that under in the right direction. So Swiss says, go Vols. Absolutely. Smash the like. Ian, share. Thank you, Ian. Again, appreciate you guys making sure you recognize that. Make sure you push that like button. We got over 126 in here now in the chat, watching us, making sure that they get these numbers for us as well. And a lot of sports to go, a lot of sports to cover at the halfway mark of the show. And we're going to get you guys that great content. But make sure you please hit that like button for us as we advance. We're going to dig into this big card here. It's the National Basketball Association. And a big card it is. Now, I was kind of on the fence as far as I get a smaller hockey card. How much hockey do I want to get into with a small card versus a larger NBA card? Because you guys know that we're starting out a little bit less than where we want to be when it comes to the NBA. So, we're going to tread lightly. We're still going to kind of be cognizant of the fact that basketball is just getting going. We've got this tournament, this in-play tournament that we have to contend with as well and see how that's going to affect some things. But I'm going to share with you guys some trends and some numbers that I like out there. And it's Friday. So you know the deal with Friday. We have a nice little parlay section that you'll see down there in the bottom, parlay corner. We've had some good success throughout some of these 2-spotters, but, for me, I went to a 4-banger here tonight. Here's what we're going to do when we play a volume type of game. When you have a volume game and you have a couple of big days, you collect over 20 units in the bankroll. this is where we can really excel and put ourselves ahead of the pack. A plus 840 parlay. It's a 4-spot money line parlay. We'll talk about each of these games, but it's the Phoenix Suns, the Washington Wizards, the OKC Thunder, and the Houston Rockets, right? So we're in that spot, 4-legger plus 840. That's going to move the bankroll considerably for us if we can get to the window on that thing. We're going to talk about some of these spots individually as well, but let's get into this first one here. So I don't know if the Sixers one, I don't know if we skipped over that Sixers one or not, but I did want to talk about that Sixers. I'm not sure if it's just an order thing, T, or maybe not. We don't have one. That's okay. We'll talk about it a lot anyways. I do want to cover the Sixers game because it is one of the hottest teams in terms of the spread, albeit coming off of 5 home games here. They're in a tough spot here from a travel situation. 60% of the bets and 74% of the cash have jumped onto that Sixers side of things. And it's enough for the books to move it from 6 to 8.5 and even 9.5 out there. The spot that was kind of eye-opening to me was looking more towards this under. We have the number open at 219. We have 224.5 as the number that's out there right now. 78% of the bets and 78% of the cash think this is going to be a higher scoring game. I'm going to kind of beg to differ just a little bit here. First and foremost, Detroit's lost 24 home games in a row when they've played a team with a winning record. So, they're not getting out there scoring a lot to get into these games and be competitive. They've lost 24 straight. But when you got a road team, this is where we need to be cognizant of this number. If it gets to 10, we need to kind of make sure that we put a caution out there. But when you get a road team that's between a -1 and a -10 favorite, it's 25-2 to the under in early season games if it's against a conference opponent. So 25-2 to the under. If they were favored by more than 10 points that previous meeting, what we're seeing is that's saying if they're favored by 10 or more, and they're less than that number in this case here, that the under has prevailed, and it's prevailed by almost 11 points. So I'm going to keep that in mind for live betting. It's not an official play for me. And as far as the side's concerned, I lean to the Sixers first half -4.5. I'm a little concerned about how this travel spot's going to affect them because we know that Detroit likes to run pace this year. They're a tempo team, and that kind of does give me a little red flag when it comes to that under, ultimately why I didn't pull the trigger on it. But I think that pace, at least in the early going, will benefit the Sixers because Embiid, he's been a beast out there. When he plays against the Pistons going back to 2021, he's averaging 29 points. He's got 12.6 rebounds and 3.2 assists. That's a 5-game sample out there, but he's shown that he can just dictate and dominate. I looked at his points, rebounds, and assists, but ultimately, because I'm thinking this game goes under, I wanted to stay off it. I like them to come out early, control the tempo in this game early, but I don't know if that means that the backdoor becomes a number here. When we see a 3.5-point movement on the Pistons side of things, it certainly gives me a little red flag. Oh, there it is. There's the Sixers game. All right, onward and upward. Here's an official play for me in the Basketball Association. Game number 2 we're going to talk about here. The Charlotte Hornets, the Washington Wizards. I like the spot quite a bit here tonight. You'll hear about this here. We open at -1. We're at -2.5. So we're seeing the number. The books are adjusting it to the favorite in the Wizards. 82% of the bets, 71% of the cash on the Hornets, and they moved at 2 points. So they said, hey, we see that you're betting on this Wizards or that you're betting on this Hornets. Let's make it even more attractive. We liked it at 1. You got to like it at 2. And why wouldn't you like it at 3? Put more money on it. Intersecting zeros opportunity here. I was excited about this one on the card. I wanted to make sure to cover it. And it's, in fact, the first play on the card for me in the NBA. The Charlotte Hornets, 0-7 against the spread off a double-digit loss when they shot 48% or better from the field. 0-7 against the spread for the Hornets. And why is it an intersecting zero spot? Because you got the Washington Wizards in a 16-0 spot when they're less than 3 days of rest on a total between 237 and 250. This total is pegged at 239.5 right now. Yeah, it opened up at 242. It's dropped a little bit. We're seeing some of the sharper money, 30% of the bets and 58% of the cash coming in on that under. And it's continuing to push that thing down. But as long as we stay above that 237 number, this is an intersecting spot. Washington 16-0 against the spread. Charlotte 0-7 against the spread. Intersect them zeros and give me them Washington Wizards. I took the money line of this thing. I didn't want to mess around with the points because I also have it tied to that parlay. So I felt like, I don't want to have the chance that, heaven forbid our parlay doesn't get there and we fall short of covering the spread because they only win by a bucket. But give me that money line. It was reasonable. I'm taking money lines in hockey at this number anyways. -135 seemed fine. And, when it comes to these two teams themselves, this is a score fest here. This is a game that can put tons of points on the boards. You'll see the lean I have in there. I went to Jordan Poole over 19.5. He's only done it one time in the last 5 games that he's gone over 20 points, but look, they're putting up points in this game. And I think that Jordan Poole has got to be the guy that gets the points for this thing to be competitive. So I like Jordan Poole. I like him over 19.5 spot there. I believe it was a minus 110 number, but the first official play for me, intersecting 0 spot, is them Washington Wizards. Let's get that cash and let's roll on to this next play for you guys here. We're looking at the Nets and the Celtics. I'm not sure what's going on with this game here. I don't know how the Nets expect to win this thing. I see a ton of people taking the Nets at the 11.5, but Claxton's out, Simmons is out, Cam Thomas is out. That's all their scores. I don't know who's going to score in this game. And that kind of gives me a concern. The number moved from 9 to 11.5 on the Brooklyn Nets side of things. 46% of the bets, 54% of the cash on that Brooklyn Nets. And it continues to move up. So I don't know if that number, I guess I could have done a deeper dive. There's a lot of games. So I could have done a deeper dive to see when that cash started coming in. But they're moving at 2.5 points. It's got to be related to these guys not being in the game. And if you're going to take out your top scorers, I'm looking at this total. Again, I don't understand why this total's moving up. I don't want to be that guy that's saying, hey, I see the line and what's going on, and I'm going against it. But 223.5 is where we opened. You got 3 of the top scorers out for the Nets. The number moved to 228.5. 32% of the bets and 57% of the cash. I did look at that as coming in on this later number for the under. And check this out. When you got either team that has rest, one's coming off a loss, and now they're a road favorite of less than minus 2 points. So in this case, less than minus 2 is that less than positive. 2 negatives make a positive. So in this case here, it's 29-0 to the under. You got either team having rest, one coming off a loss. There's a road favorite that's bigger than minus 2 points, 29-0 to the under, and it's smoking the under. It's smoking the under by 15 points. So I think that correlates to me. That's like an all signs being go. Let's hit this thing. Give me that Brooklyn Nets under 228.5, 29-0 spot with a margin of cover by 15 points. With everybody sitting out, I'm either missing something and falling in the trap or I don't know what. But if it is a trap, I'm falling in hook, line, and sinker because I got this 29-0 showing that they're going to cover by 15 points on this total to the under. And I got 3 key guys coming out of the net side of things. Give me that under. Love that spot. That might be my favorite spot on the card tonight. So when we're talking about this thing aloud, JPC says he sees a 229 out there. Great. Take it. Take that 229. Take 230. I don't care. The most you can get for it, I would wait as long as you can to drop this thing in because it just continues to rise. And here's the thing. When you got this Boston team, if they put boots to ass on the Nets, at some point they're going to stop trying too. So I just can't get there. I see Coin says Brooklyn team total under 108 is worth a look too. I agree. And I think that correlates 100%. If they get to 99 points out there and and Boston's up, 110 to 99, what's going to happen in that last 5 minutes of the game? I just like that under. That's a great spot for me. I did see some numbers for the Nets here. When you have both teams in a rest spot, one's coming off a win as a dog. They're 27-1 against the spread. So that did support the Nets. But again, I just dovetail back to the fact that those guys are out of this lineup. I don't want to keep beating on it, but I am going to beat on it. And then as far as a prop that I liked in this game, you got an option with Drew Holiday. Over 5.5 assists is minus 137. Over 6.5 assists is plus 135. He's a pass first guard. So I know he's got a lot of points. He's got 10 assists the last time they played the Nets. And the Nets don't really have an aggressive defense. So again, players being out, I think this guy can go out there and dish it all over the place. I would lean to the 6. I lean to either side of this thing that you want to play, but I would go to the plus money at 6.5 here. I know we see that a lot of times these guys get to 6. But I think in this case here, again, he's got the success rate with a 10 the last time they played. Boston's going to want to move a lot of guys around the rotation in the lineup of the games they have on deck. And I just think it's a good spot for Drew at over 6.5 assists at plus 135. So there's a little prop look for you guys in this game. Onward, upward. Next game we're going to talk about Utah Jazz, Memphis Grizzlies. I almost had one of those head exploding moments in this game here, and I'll talk to you guys about it. So the game opened at 6. It's down to 5.5 and even 4.5s out there. Now you can see some 4.5s on the Grizz. 70% of the bets and 81% of the cash on the Memphis Grizzlies. They suck. They're no good. They're just not a good team right now. I wish I had more data and confidence behind it to make it an official play. I couldn't find any trends. I couldn't see any real angles out there other than, the Jazz did me dirty the last couple of games. Now you're getting 5.5 points against a poor Grizzlies team with all that cash coming on him and that line dropping. Yeah, I know Kessler's out for the Jazz, but I don't know. I mean, I guess I've fallen short with him twice now. So kind of twice bitten, 3 times shy, I guess, in this case. But I lean to the Jazz in this spot. I don't think the Grizzlies have shit going for them right now. And I think that's going to correlate to this game. I think the Jazz are a live dog in this case here. 30% of the bets and 83% of the cash are on the Jazz. The line opened at plus 208 on the money line. It's now plus 170. So other folks think the same way I am in this game. The Grizz stink. The Jazz are a live dog. I know it's a road spot without Kessler, but I like that 5.5. It's just it's a lean for me at best at this point. It's an 8:00 start. Probably be on some live streams tonight talking a little bit more about that game. So stay tuned. But I would endorse taking that Jazz spot. Certainly not. I wouldn't step away from it by any stretch. And we move onward. Stacks POD. There's our guy Justin in the chat with his Stacks POD. Celtics team total over 120.5. That's a scary one for me because of that team total, but I like it. I think they get out there early, and then the question is going to be what happens when they start pulling away from this thing and they're up by 20 points. How far are they going to go? Kelly V says, "Who is Memphis to lay 6?" I couldn't agree more. Really to get to that direction, and then she says teaser Utah plus 10. I try to stay away from the teasers in basketball because 4 points is not really enough for me, but hey, I could certainly support that and get behind that. Nasty Nate says Celtics second quarter, Celtics trifecta. Yeah, I mean, this lines up great for him. The only number that scared me a little bit was that dog spot where it was, 28-1 or 27-1 for that other side of the house there with the Nets. I just don't know who they got out there. Razor Sharp says Celtics trifecta. I've heard that before. How'd that work against the Sixers, baby? Let's go. Onward, there's our girl Jacqueline. Appreciate you dropping in here. Kay Graham says Celtics taking that Sixers loss out on the Nets. I agree. That's another narrative I didn't get a chance to talk about. But yeah, I think it's I mean, either we're all wrong or the Nets are in trouble tonight. So we'll see what happens. We'll move on to this next game. We're going to talk about this next game. We're looking at the Pelicanos versus the Rockets. Fly, Pelican, fly. All right, we're going to jump into this game here. The Pelicans, the line opened at -1 in favor of the Pelicans. It's now -1.5 on the Rocket side of things. And I think it's got to do with injury management here or roster replacement. 69% of the bets and 89% of the money on that Rocket spot at -1.5. Now even -2's out there. You know, Houston's got Thompson and Sagan out. On the New Orleans side of things, I heard Zion was dealing with some personal matters, but they did say he was available to play tonight. So keep your eyes on that. There's no Murphy, there's no McCollum, and there's no Alvarado on the New Orleans side of things. Houston's margin, where I went with this thing in the lean, is Houston's margin in first half. And then you look at the Pelicans first half. This just is a straight X's and O's or mathematics spot here where Houston playing at home, more favorable position on a game that looks like it's going to start to go to the under. To me, it was just take this first half and run with it. So the first half is -0.5. It's a lean for me at best right now. Again, it's a later game, a lot of card. I try to keep that sweet number between 12 and 13. That seems to be where we've been really capitalizing on the card. So any more than that, I start to get a little gun shy. But again, the margin in the first half, I guess the question just comes down to Zion's availability. Does he play? I expect him to play. I don't know if anybody in the chat has the latest on this guy or not, but Tarek B says he's ruled out. Even better. Let's go. If he's ruled, you know what? We're going to make that one an official spot now too. Tarek B, I know you wouldn't do me dirty. Let's go with this. We're going to make this first half the margin advantage, the spot for Houston at home. Can the Pelicans come back at the end of it? Maybe. I don't know how. I don't know who's playing for him to come back and get it done, but Zion's at the nudie club. Hey, Whack Prescott, I guess I'd have to see what it looked like before I judged him for it. So Alex Salazar, yeah, Rockets first half then. Yes, I got the -0.5 at -112 is the spot that I lock it, take the money line, whatever. It's going to be a reasonable number, I think, in that case. So, but if it is something that we're looking at Zion and his availability, then I would be sure to make sure you get that or keep an eye on that side of it because Kelly V says it herself. Pelicanos can't trust with their lineup changes. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. I can't imagine why they would be tanking. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. Let's keep rolling. We got a lot more to get to here. We'll keep it flying down the card. We got to keep a brisk pace for you guys here. Next game we're going to talk about, we're going to look at this Dallas Spurs spot here. You'll see at the top, the number I like here is this under. We'll talk a little bit about it. Got a strong number that supports this under. 75% of the bets on the over, 58% of the cash. You guys know I've talked to you before about this. When we see that the bigger bets, but the smaller cash means that the bigger cash is coming in on the other side. The number started at 225.5. They're starting to see some 224.5s out there. As far as the Timberwolves, they opened at -3. They're now -7. 67% of the bets, but 55% of the cash on those T-Wolves. And again, we got a situation where I look for this direct relationship. You got the favorite wins this game. That game should push it under. Also, road teams, this is the second spot that we talked about in this case here. Road teams between 1 and 10 points, 25 and 2 to the under, and they're covering by almost 11 points on that under. So I locked down that 225.5. The fact that we're not seeing the money moving to the over, even though all that cash is coming in on it, to me, even supports it more. The line continues to move to Minnesota, and larger bets coming in on the under. The one spot I did like in this game, though, which kind of runs contrary or counterintuitive to the under, is I like the Anthony Edwards. If you're into the prop game here and you want to look for a prop in this game, over 32.5 points and assists was a minus 108 spot for me. What I liked about that is, he's an old school dude. He plays. He's not one of those guys that wants to take advantage of load management. He played 79 games last year. He only sat a couple out at the end. He's averaging 33 minutes. He's got 30 plus points in a game. He's averaging 5.3 assists, 30 plus points, 5.3 assists. Put those two together, 32.5 points and assists makes a ton of sense for me in that game. It's a lean for me on the player prop side. Anthony Edwards over 32.5. Got to keep it rolling. Going to keep it moving. Next game we're going to talk about, if I get out of sequence because I can't see the stream, just flag me down and let me know here. But I'm looking at this Clippers game. Clippers is next up on the agenda for us, and we're going to dig right into this one here. Clippers for me, I'm going to take the 1.5. We've got the line open at 1. We're seeing between 1.5s and pick'ems. So line shot, 55% of the bets, 55% of the cash on those Clippers. And it's one of those things where they've lost 3 in a row. Lost 3 in a row against the spread. They're not winning games outright. This is the Harden era out there. So, they got to get it together. They got to figure at some point. I looked at this game and I saw that Dallas is showing some potential fatigue. Dallas came out red hot, firing on every cylinder they could. But then they've just lost at home to Toronto. Think about that bad travel spot too for Toronto, moving from Toronto all the way down to down to Dallas. You would say that if anything, Dallas was running hot and they should have gotten it done. But I think we're going to see a little bit of early season regression on these Dallas Mavs. Also, home teams that are about to head out on the road for a 4-game or larger road trip are 0-21 that previous game before they head out. So when they're going on a 4-game or longer road trip, 0-21 against the spread, they're not covering by 12 points. I get the 1.5 on my side in case it does come down to one bucket or one free throw at the end. I love this Dallas, LA Clippers spot. I think it's a spot where they do get right. There's too much pride in them boys there in the Clippers not to come back and find a way. They're going to bring their A game against a team like Dallas, who potentially is showing fatigue. And we know they're going out there on the road for that 4-game or greater road trip. So kind of all stars align for me in this Clipper spot, even cash flow distribution, but they're starting to move that number, I think a little bit in the right direction for us to catch that plus money. So lock me down with the Clippers. The Clippers plus 1.5. We're going to keep it rolling. Kelly V says, Dallas first half been bad lately. Yeah, I think so. LA Clippers teaser plus 6. There you go. Play it with the other spot there. Tarek B says, even if Zion plays, don't expect much. His girl just had a baby. He's a baby means lack of sleep. Yeah, I don't care if he plays or not at the end of the day for me. He says some sites are saying he's playing, some sites are saying he's not. I was going to get there anyways with the other factors that they had for guys that are sitting out in this thing. It's still official. I'm not going to undo it. We're not going to move backwards. We're going to move forward. We're going to move forward to this next game as well. It's going to be the OKC Thunder, Sacramento Kings spot here. And when I look at this number and I look at these trends, what we've got going on here is the number opened at 2.5. OKC getting 2.5 points on the road. 83% of the bets and 75% of the cash have now flipped them from a dog to a favorite. It's a road team, so that does concern me a little bit. But small home dogs early in the season are 1-34 against the spread if they had more wins last season than their opponent. So if they're a better team previous year with more wins than their opponent and they're a small dog, in this case, this fits this, dog to favorite spot and favorite to dog spot perfectly. It's a 1-34 spot against the spread. OKC Thunder minus 120. I also think there's a motivation spot here because the Kings have won 6 in a row against OKC. So now you got this 1-34 spot for the small home dog spot. You've got OKC looking at it saying, we've lost to the Kings 6 times in a row. I think they're prime right now. I think this is a prime spot for the Thunder to come out there and get the job done. And we're going to move on. I think we got one last basketball game to talk about for you guys here. It's that Lakers-Suns matchup. The Lakers, Suns for me, you'll see that did complete this will complete the parlay. We've got Phoenix, we've got Washington, we've got OKC, and we've got Houston in this spot here with the Phoenix Suns. We opened at -3. We're down to -2, 59% of the bets and 55% of the cash. But it depends on the book because we do see some 3.5s out there on the Lakers side of things. So, broken record. Line shot this thing out. The total opened at 222.5. It's moved to 224.5. 32% of the bets and 64% of the cash on that over. And we've seen a couple of points of movement. But what we are seeing is, in my opinion, a spot where the Suns, the Suns are 10-0 to the over after they scored less than 40 points in the paint the previous game. That does have a little buy on the Suns over for me. But at the end of the day, when you've got both teams having 1 day's rest, team coming off a win as a dog, 27-1. There was another spot we had in that card tonight that fit this formula as well. 1 day's rest, coming off a win as a dog, 27-1 against the spread. Suns -3.5 was the spot that I locked down here. I get him at -2 now. That's an even better number for me. I believe it's an unofficial play. It's an unofficial play that I'm going to make official now. I talked myself into it. Look, a couple things going on here. I expect them to be wearing the City Edition, the El Valley jerseys tonight. They got the purple court flying. I know there's no Booker, but they do have Beal back. And, we just don't know what we're going to see out of day-to-day Davis. We faded the Lakers the other day, and that was a spot-on play. Just watching LeBron, he looks slow. He looks old. I'll give him credit for still being in the show, but I don't want to put my dough there. So I like it. These boys get excited when they play in those special jerseys here. The El Valley City Edition jerseys, a 27-1 spot for the Suns. Laying that -2 right now. And, oh, by the way, the road Lakers are 0-9. So they haven't won a game in 9 on the road. Tough spot for the Lakers tonight. That's going to complete the parlay for us. It's also going to be a new official spot that I'm jumping in on there. I'm taking the Suns -2. It's a -110 spot. Keep it update for record-keeping purposes. And we're going to roll on. We're getting down to the wire. We got to move pretty quickly here. We got a couple of hockey games to cover for you guys, and we're going to roll on to this next spot here. Alex Salazar says Durant is old and slow. Doesn't pass the ball, snooze fest. Yeah, I could see that being a situation too. Whit Chubb says, drank so much pre-workout, my nose is numb. Okay, onward and upward. I'm excited to talk about this game here. It's the Buffalo Sabres versus the Minnesota Wild, and it's Buffalo at home on a Friday. The city should be buzzing. It's Lindgren at 1-1 in net on the Wild side of things. It's Vanacek at 6-3 in the net. And you guys know, we have been absolutely murdering this hockey slate. The month of November, I think we're up to 24-3 now in the month of November in the NHL. I'll have to double check my numbers, but I think that sounds about right. And it feels about right because this is where the cash has been coming. Lindgren, 2-5 goals against average, 92.9 save percentage. Vanacek, 3.28 goals against average, 89.3% save percentage. Vanacek's certainly not been getting the job done. And, coming in on a replacement. Actually, I believe it's Levi now. I got to do a last-minute check. Let me bear with me for a second here. I thought I just read something right before the show started for Levi. Let's see. Yeah, it's Levi. Levi's confirmed. Devin Levi. He's 2-3 on the season. He's at 3.4 goals against average, 88.4 save percentage. So there is an uptick, in my opinion, with moving to this goaltender here. He's the rookie they brought in, the guy to get the job done, or it's in the second year, I guess. But I talked about Vancouver. I teased you guys with this in the review of the previous games. Unrested opponent between a line of -110 to -200 on a total that's greater than or equal to 5.5, 411 to 192. We cashed on this spot last night with Vancouver, and we cashed pretty comfortably. We're going to cash with it again tonight on the Buffalo Sabres. So I locked in the Buffalo Sabres. Also, you've got a previous 2-goal factor. When the game was previously 2 goals or less, and they're home on the season, 16-9. The under does feel like it's in play, but the spot that I was excited to talk about in this thing here, Minnesota coming off that 4-1 loss to the New York Rangers. They're in a back-to-back spot. They didn't look good last night. I don't expect them to look much better tonight. And there's going to be some excitement out there because of this young man named Matt Savoy. Matt Savoy, goal scorer. It's a lean for me, +390. You're probably thinking, who the hell is that? Well, that is the 9th overall pick 2 seasons back for the Buffalo Sabres. He's played in Rochester, the minor league affiliate this year. He's got 6 games under his belt. He's got 2 goals and 3 assists. He's making his NHL debut tonight. Teams always get excited when they're top draft pick, and Buffalo is a young team to begin with. So I know my guy Real Deal Prime likes hearing this here, but for me, it's a spot where I looked at it and said, you got this young gun coming in. He's the 9th overall pick. And he came out of the Western Hockey League, the WHL. What did he do in the WHL? He kicked the shit out of everybody. He scored 38 goals, 57 assists in 62 games. He had a playoff run with 19 games where he got 11 goals and 18 assists. Why is that important? Because that's in the same league as a guy that was drafted this season you might have heard of already, taking over the NHL by storm, a young man named Connor Bedard. Connor Bedard played in the the Western Hockey League, as did Matt Savoy. This Connor Bedard, number 1 draft pick this year, first round, number 1 overall. Matt Savoy the year prior, first offensive player taken out of the Western Hockey League, number 1 round, 9th overall draft pick at plus 390. Just a spot for me where I'm looking to try to take advantage of the books. They don't know what I know about this guy, and I think it's an opportunity for us to cash on it. So enough said. It's a lean for me at plus 390. I'm going to sprinkle it for sure. And I would hope you guys do the same. That's a spot that's exciting. These young guys come in, and I don't think Minnesota is a team that's going to give them much challenge. So onward, upward. Next game we're going to talk about here: Hurricanes, Panthers. I'm locking down the Hurricanes. Pretty straightforward for me. I'm looking at this goaltending matchup. We got Ranta versus Bobrovsky. I talked to you guys about Bobrovsky the other day. He's 6-3-1. But in this spot here, he's kind of that win one strong, kind of lose one strong, or play poorly the next game. We expected him to bounce back and play strong and win for us the other day. He did. This kind of fits the mold in terms of him kind of regressing a little bit. We got a factor in as well that's been kicking ass for us. When you just played the Sabres, you guys have heard me use some of these trends before. When they play a team or they got a team that's coming up, after they've played the Sabres and they're on the road with another road game coming up, they're 12-4 straight up. Hurricane spot all day for me. Also, when you're on the road and the first of a back-to-back road spot with no rest off a win, another opportunity where they go 68-27. Lastly, road favorites with a road game next. This is a huge trend. When they've got less than 3 days rest, it's a road favorite on the road, 19-29, 1,929 wins, 1,214 losses. Huge numbers supporting a play on Carolina. You look at Florida. Florida's won 5-1-1 in their last 7 games. Now they're a home dog. That's got to make you scratch your head. And Ranta, as far as what he's been doing in the pipes, Anderson's got that blood clot situation that we just talked about. So now they needed to step on this guy and count him as the guy to be the go-to in the absence of who is their number 1 goalie. What did he do? Well, his first game as the starter in that role, he saved 19 out of 21 shots. He had a 90.5 save percentage. And that young man's on a 3-game win streak. So give me that Carolina Hurricanes. I got him at minus 125. Love the spot. Had to jump on that thing. I think that's just a triple factor that fits that Carolina spot all day for me. Let's get on that one and let's talk about this next game. Last minute changeup in this game. I'm debating how I'm going to play this thing, and I'm going to move it back to I already bet it. I'm just going to keep it. I don't want to mess around and change it. I already updated all the records. We had Carter Hart as expected in goal, but Carter Hart got sick, and that was kind of where I was waffling around a little bit here. It's a later game. They're going back to the Sam Ersson guy who's 1-3-1. On the other side is Dostal at 5-1. Dostal supports a 2.79 goals against average, 92 save percentage. The expectation was Hart was coming into this game, but ultimately why I'm going to stay there with this thing is Travis Zegras is out for Anaheim, so that's a big offensive contributor out there. The Flyers, I think they're in a bounce back spot here. They are in a rematch spot here where they have a team that's a home dog that they lost to previously. I'm sorry. The rematch spot is as a home dog versus an opponent with less than 50% win percentage in a revenge spot. So they lost to the Flyers before. They're a home dog, and the Flyers suck, less than 50% win percentage. They're 26-79 in terms of what Anaheim looks like. You take away their top goal scorer or one of their top goal scorers, you give me that 26-79 factor in the revenge. Also, we have another trend there that fits that road favorite. On the road next, 1,929 wins, 1,214 losses. Give me that Flyers at minus 115. Last game I'm going to talk to you guys about. Yeah, North Ender says, Carter Hart out, dropped the line back to minus 115. It was up to minus 125. I locked it in at minus 115 as soon as I saw that. So I was not too excited. One time, appreciate you. My guy says 7 more likes for 100. Let's go. We're at 7 o'clock. Last play I want to talk to you guys about here is going to be the Sharks Golden Knights game. And we've got Kokkonen in net for the Sharks at 0-4. The story of all stories, the Sharks had a 10-game losing streak. They've now bounced back. They've won 2 in a row. They beat the Flyers. That was expected from me. They also beat the Oilers I think the Oilers were like minus 400. So that was a huge upset, even though the Oilers had no business being a minus 400 with that number the way it was. On the other side of things in net, you've got Thompson. Thompson sports a 5-1 record. Aiden Hill's the guy, for Vegas, but Thompson coming in as backup is way more than serviceable. Kokkonen at 4.29 goals against average, 87.6 save percentage. Thompson, 2.3 goals against average, 92.3 save percentage. I lean to the under in this game. Straightforward. I think the Sharks have, they're 3-9 to the under on the season. They're averaging like 1.3 goals a game. On the flip side of things, Vegas is averaging 4.5 goals a game. I'm just not going to lay 500 on Vegas. There's no way you'll ever see me lay 500 on anything unless it's a UFC fight and I've drank an entire bottle of whiskey. In that case, I may consider it, but that's a whole bottle, and there's a question of whether I pass out first or not to be able to get to the clicker. So that being said, and that aside, I kind of lean to the under here because, I just think Kokkonen has played so poorly, and the motivation now is for the Knights not to drop another game here, coming off that loss, their first regulation loss. Tough spot, I think, for San Jose. Could I see Vegas come out here and thrash them? Yeah. Would I see the score go 4-1? Yeah. Would I see that the numbers support it? Yeah. 4.5 goals on the Vegas side of things to 1.3 on the Shark side of things. You add those two together, under 6.5 at -110 seems like a fair number to me. Like I said, just a goaltending opportunity where I think it's a positive opportunity in our favor. So I like the under. I know a lot of cash is coming in on this over. And I just think it's simply people are looking at the Sharks goaltending matchup and they're not reading the narrative around what's going on with the San Jose Sharks. Coming off those two big wins, at some point they are who they are and they're not a very good team. So I expect low scoring production out of the San Jose Sharks. But there's no way I would consider Vegas in this case. That number is just, I wouldn't even play them on the puck line. They could win by 3 goals. I still would feel comfortable not playing this game. There's other spots on the card tonight to get advantage of, and that's going to do it for us here. So guys, I appreciate everybody dropping in. We're still over 100 on the card here, 115 plus watching. I'll give you guys one last rundown on the officials. Then we'll get you guys out of here to make these bets. We got North Texas plus 20, got the under 50.5 in the Wyoming game. Arizona plus 5.5 in college basketball. We've got Tennessee -2 in college basketball. The NBA, the association, we're kind of opening it up a little bit here tonight. We're going to take a good shot at it with the Wizards money line. We're going to go with that Boston under 228 spot. We've got the Houston first half -0.5 at -112. We've got the Minnesota Spurs game under 225.5. We've got the Clippers plus 1.5. We've got the Suns -2 wearing the City Edition jerseys. We got the OKC Thunder as well at -120. Don't forget that 4-leg parlay. That is an official play. This is where we're going to step on bookies' throats, put a lot of cash in the bankroll tonight. We're going the Suns money line, the Wizards money line, the OKC money line, and the Rockets money line. That's a plus 840 spot in the NHL. Love them Buffalo Sabres. Like that Matt Savoy guy starting out here, the 9th overall draft pick. We're going to look at some additional spots in the Carolina Hurricanes. We're going to take them Philadelphia Flyers despite Carter Hart actually being sick. And then the last to close off the card, I lean to Vegas under 6.5. You guys, appreciate everybody being here. Jay Peasy, Nunya, Kelly V, Don Play, Lexicon, Tommy Maggio, Justin Villegas. The whole crew is out here. Wine Time Sports, appreciate you last night and shopping in again today. There's our guy North Ender. Trisha M says, go Gators. Viral Video. Kelly V. The crew came out and represented tonight, and it means a ton for me, you guys. We've had a couple of strong days. Let's have another big Friday. Let's close this week feeling real good about what's happening. We'll make some plays in college basketball, college football tomorrow. We'll look at some spots for UFC. We got a big NFL card. Make sure you guys are part of Pub Sports Radio. Pub Sports Radio's got a free Saturday contest going on for the UFC. Get out there and register. Cost you nothing. Have an opportunity to win $100. You know the boys will be out for the NFL, sharing their looks. Sharpie, our guy, will be out there hosting the Sharpie Zone for the 1 o'clock games. And, of course, the Sunday night live stream. Football's back. We're rocking and rolling. We're having a great time with it. I hope you guys find as much fun this weekend as I sure will. And let's get to that window. Cash them tickets. Make that money. Bet size appropriately. Let's have a night. Let's kick some ass. I'll see all you guys on Monday. Same time, same place, 6 p.m. It's Last Call, Pump Sports Radio. Make sure you become a member if you have not already. $4.99. Subscribe on the YouTube channel. Hit that notification button. Every time we go live, you'll know about it. You'll be there to catch that cash with us. And until then, we be pubbing.